Sometimes emotions are layered, one on the other, like graffiti paint. How to do the work with layered emotions? I sometimes find that one emotion, more than one emotion, is there in a stressful situation. For example, line one of a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet that I wrote looked like this. I'm angry and sad with Dad because he didn't download the photos. This was an actual situation for me. I had been scanning all of my mom's family photos, which involved a lot of work and money. And after doing a lot of those and sending them to my dad, he didn't seem that enthusiastic. And one day I was talking on the phone. I asked him if he had downloaded the latest photos, which I was kind of excited about. And he said no. And eventually it became clear that he just didn't really even care. He didn't want to, wasn't planning to. And that's when I felt that mix of emotions. There was some anger there, and there was some sadness there. Of course, I could write both of these emotions on my line one statement, as I did just a minute ago, but I sometimes like to look even closer. And here's how or what I do when I experience more than one emotion in a situation. I often look at each emotion separately. Emotions are extremely intelligent things. They don't happen randomly. They are sensitive, even you could say subconscious, and they're gauges of what I'm thinking and believing. So each emotion has a different story to tell. Anger has something to say, and sadness has something to say. And sometimes it's the same thing, sometimes it's different. So it's often interesting to look. When I look, I can often uncover what is really bothering me so that I can bring that to inquiry. So to do this, I put myself mentally back in the situation. In this case, I was driving and talking to my dad on the phone, and I remember him not wanting to download the pictures that I worked so hard to scan. And then I feel the emotions, and I look at them one at a time. The first one is anger. So I ask the anger itself, what is the thought that's causing this feeling of anger? Where is this anger coming from? As if the anger could speak, what would it say? And as I sit with it, I see that the thought connected to the emotion, that anger, is he's ungrateful for my efforts. This makes me really angry. So that's the thought. I've identified the thought that's coming along with the emotion. And always that's the case. When I feel an emotion, there's a thought connected to it. And when we're doing the work of Byron Katie, we start with the emotion and then look for the thought and then question the thought. So with the anger thought, with the anger feeling, the thought that came along with it for me was he's ungrateful for my efforts. The second emotion is sadness. Same situation, but this time I also noticed some sadness. So I asked the sadness, what is the thought that's causing this feeling of sadness? What's the thought connected to this feeling? And this time a different thought comes up. He doesn't care about me. And this interpretation makes me feel sad and dejected. He doesn't give, he just doesn't care. So same situation has given me two different emotions, and each emotion has given me a different thought. I can now take these two different thoughts and put them on two different Judge Your Neighbor worksheets. The reason there are two different emotions in this situation is that there are two different things bothering me. They are connected, and working on one may help unravel the other, but working each one separately can allow for full attention on each one. If there are two crying babies in the room, it's valuable to hold each one separately because their needs may be different. One may need food, while the other may need a diaper change. So here's the line one for two different worksheets on the same situation. Line one of worksheet one, I'm angry with Dad because he is ungrateful for my efforts. So that's the anger worksheet. Worksheet two, line one, I'm saddened by Dad because he doesn't care about me. That's the sad worksheet. As I question these separate thoughts one after the other, I'll be addressing each anger each emotion, anger and then sadness in turn, each gets its day in the sun. And I have to say, I wrote line 1 and just shared you there. I'm angry with Dad because he's ungrateful for my efforts, but then I would actually fill in the whole Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. I want him to change. He should do things. I need him to do things. He is, my thoughts about him, and I don't ever want him to do things. I'm going to fill out all of that for worksheet 1 on anger. Then I'm going to go through the same process and fill out the whole worksheet on the sad worksheet. He doesn't care about me. So this is a very thorough approach. But if it's something I care about, and if I really want to get close to my emotions and what's being presented from inside, then this gives me an opportunity to do that. Listen to your emotions. Emotions are there to educate you. Byron Katie often talks about going to the school of you, as she calls it. These emotions can teach you a lot if you listen to them. At the heart of every emotion is a particular thought that is causing it. If you listen, you can identify the thoughts that are closest to what is really bothering you in any situation. And when you do the work on these, they have the greatest chance of touching you and changing your innermost perspective. Want to improve your ability to listen to yourself? Join my Inquiry Circle community by taking the Work 101 course, and I would love to support you in this process. So I'll end with a quote from Byron Katie from her book, Question Your Thinking, Change the World. A feeling is like the mate to a thought appearing. They're like a left and a right. If you have a thought, there's a simultaneous feeling. And an uncomfortable feeling is like a compassionate alarm clock that says, you're in the dream. It's time to investigate. That's all.